We're very excited this morning to officially launch our new certificate program in student affairs and higher education. It's been a long process to get this program off the ground, but I think it's an amazing collaboration between Extension, the Division of Student Affairs on campus, and many other people who've put this program together. So we are going to tell you all about it today and kind of give you a sense of what the certificate means professionally, and then, of course, we'll talk a little bit about the curriculum and some of the nitty-gritty, and we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. So at first, I'd like to introduce Andrea Dooley, who's the Assistant Vice Chancellor and Chief of Staff in the Division of Student Affairs, and she's going to give us some context.
Thank you. Today is our opportunity to share a little bit about the details of the program with you. And it's our hope that you'll see an opportunity for you and your career through this presentation. The program is designed to bring opportunities for professional development to you here on campus at UC Berkeley. And as you know, Berkeley is a very diverse and complex environment, and we want to support our employees with providing them with tools to be effective in the work that they do. And this program is one opportunity to do so. So I'd like to start by polling the room so that the speakers who will share a little bit more of the program have an idea of who they're speaking to. So who currently works within the Division of Student Affairs, if you'll raise your hand? All right, thank you. How about the Division of Undergraduate Education? A couple folks. And folks who are from other areas on campus? All right, so give me some examples of what that looks like. I'm new, so help educate me with...
Office of Undergraduate Research and Scholarships.
Okay, terrific. Other places? Okay, great. Anywhere else? Extension, great. Okay, well, again, thank you for being here. And how many folks have worked for Berkeley for less than 5 years? A lot of you. Okay, terrific. And between 5 and 10? Okay, and then more than 10 years? All right, we have a nice, diverse group. That's fantastic. And who in the room identifies yourself as a student affairs professional? Okay, great. And the speakers will talk a little bit about the field of student affairs in a few moments. So how many people actually intentionally sought out this work? All right, so a good group. And how many of you fell into this work? All right. So this has given us a great idea of who the folks will be talking to this morning. So as I mentioned before, the way in which this program is organized, we hope that it will allow everyone who's interested in professional development in the field of student affairs to participate and ultimately benefit both professionally and personally. And so you'll have an opportunity to decide what's best for you. You can take a course. You can take multiple courses per semester. You can get the certificate program through the UC Extension. You can actually earn a master's degree from University of San Francisco, and we have our peers here today who will talk about that master's program. So we really want this to fit what you need in your life, and the good news is I don't think you have to decide when you start taking that first course. It's a decision that you make in the long term. So as you listen to the panelists, we hope that you'll think about what your right situation is. So what I wanted to also mention, and again, I'm new to UC Berkeley, so this is new to me, but I think it's important to all of you as you consider what's happening and what you might choose for this program, is that these courses will be offered, covered by the tuition reimbursement program. I understand that there might be some modifications to the tuition reimbursement program as it currently stands, but I've confirmed that these courses will be eligible for that reimbursement. So I don't really know more details about that, but I just wanted to make sure that you were all aware that these courses will be in fact approved. So next up, Stacy and Jamie will talk a little bit about student affairs as a field. But before they do, I just wanted to stress the value of providing professional development opportunities for our staff. Professional development is a core value, and one of which that, as Lance mentioned, earlier in the opening presentation, that we're doing as a sense of community and belonging here within the division as part of our Go Big initiative. So again, thanks for being here, and hope you learn what you need to out of this presentation. There'll be an opportunity for questions at the end.
Our next speaker is Stacy Holgan, who's a policy analyst in student affairs.
Thank you. I'm so excited to see you this morning. I know many of you probably have seen emails from me over the last few days going, please come, please come. So it's nice to have the room full. Let me give you just a quick overview of what we're going to cover in this presentation. Andrea did our program information introduction. Thank you very much. And Jamie Riley and I, director of the Lead Center, will review the field of student affairs. It was exciting to see that many of you raised your hands when you said you sought out student affairs intentionally, because it's a growing and burgeoning field, and part of the reason we think this is such a wonderful program opportunity is because folks are coming to the field as professionals, and we want to make sure that we support that. We'll introduce the rest of the program instructors and the expectations for the classes, talk about a summary of the certificate program, and our colleagues from USF will review the master's program, and then we'll have time for questions and answers. So just a brief history of the 100 years of student affairs. There are definitely professions that come forth because they're needed, and student affairs is one of those professions. It started over 100 years ago with the deans of men and deans of women at various colleges. And in 1937, the deans of men got together and said, hey, we need to support each other in this process. And that was actually the beginning of NASPA, of what many of you know as the NASPA organization today. And just about 5 years later, what they called the women's secretariats came together, and they were basically the deans of women. And that was the beginning of ACPA. Now, the very important part of the deans of women discussion is it was started by UC Berkeley, so right here. And the profession grows through that time period, and particularly in the 1960s, we really start to develop the theoretical basis for the student affairs field. And it comes from psychology, sociology, anthropology, really looking at human development and holistic development. In 1979, the Council for Advancement of Standards forms, and that really sets the guidelines for the work we do today, and we still refer to those CAS standards in our common everyday work. There are several seminal reports that come out during the history of student affairs, including the Learning Imperatives, which really talks about working with students as an inside and outside the classroom learning process. And then we move on to Learning Reconsidered in the early 2000s. So our field is still in high formation, and we grow and thrive in this field now with the research that we're able to do. And programs like this that we're starting here are really focused on adding to that research. And then we come to the present day where we're really focusing on some new areas of student life and student affairs, including how technology, classroom delivery services, how budgets impact higher education and student culture. So our field continues to grow, and there are many, many opportunities that you all can be involved in. And Jamie's going to tell us more.
Thanks, Stacy. When we think about student affairs, and we really talk about the concept of learning and development, there are some key foundational theories and models that we really look at to how do we create experiences that help students develop holistically while they're in college. And what those areas really look at is psychosocial theory, so really about how someone comes into their self as it relates to the environment. It's really looking at the interaction of the person in the environment and the outcome that comes from that. Cognitive structural talks a little bit more about meaning making. So through involvement in activities, programs, as an RA, as a peer counselor, as a member of a multicultural community on campus, how are students making meaning of that interaction between themselves and the environment around them? And it's really creating programs and initiatives that help provide the best opportunity for that to happen. Then we have some other ones that are less theoretical and a lot more model-based, which are involvement and engagement, that really talk about the importance of student involvement throughout their campus, involvement being just being active, but engagement being the level of involvement. How engaged, how much ownership do students take in facilitating their experience? And student affairs has played a very key role in ensuring that we have environments that are inclusive and that are open for students to be able to do that. And then we really talk about person and environmental fit. When we think, a lot of folks don't realize everything from the paint color in a room, to the structure of the room, to the furniture, to the artwork, really seeks to create an experience where students feel welcomed and where they feel like they can thrive and meet the outcomes associated with the other theories that we've spoke about earlier. So when you really think about student affairs, and Stacy mentioned the learning and developmental piece of that, it really is intentional of how we use these models and these theories to really inform our work. And this program and this experience that we're talking about today will seek to help enhance how we as professionals think about this work. When you really think about student development theory, there's 4 real uses that we will use in student affairs, and a lot of folks will have other ways that they think about this work and think about theories, but there are 4 main ways that we often think about this. So it's descriptive. Theory is very useful to understand the experience or to describe the way or a process that someone may be dealing with growing or developing new values or having a new perspective or meaning making. It can be prediction. You can use it for prediction, which basically says that theory and research says that if we don't create inclusive environments, or if we don't create environments where students can see themselves, our retention rates will be impacted, so they won't persist. So we can use that information to predict an outcome and try to be better at shaping how that outcome may actually show up. Explanation. It can explain how a student may be responding to certain circumstances. In my past, just to give you a scenario, a lot of my career I've done diversity work, and before here was a director of a multicultural office, and really had students who, with different societal issues, were dealing with their values and their identity through this continuum of identity based off of the interaction with the environment. So I was able to use theory to talk to other faculty members and to talk to campus administration around why certain student communities may be showing up the way they are based off how theory has kind of grounded their experience and grounded how they may respond to certain infrastructures on campus. And then control. Some people have a problem with this one, and this one is not so much controlling the students, but this is more so controlling the experience. So how do we set processes, policies, practices in place that help control for certain outcomes like persistence, like retention, like high levels of involvement and engagement. So when we really think about theory and we think about how that will be infused into this experience, we wanted to make sure that we started this conversation off with not only how student affairs has kind of transcended throughout time, but also how we are informed by human development and theory that kind of leads our work and leads our practice on a daily basis. So I'm going to pass the mic back over to Stacy. That's going to give some examples of some of these theories that we do use often.
Thank you. So as both Jamie and I have referenced, really the field of student affairs is professionalized by the theory that we base our work on. And this list is just a very, very incomplete list of prominent theories that are common in student affairs. How many of you have heard of Chickering's vectors? You know, this is the theory that talks about 7 steps of development that a standard definition college student may go through, so an 18 to 22-year-old. How many of you work with folks in college now who are not in that 18 to 22-year-old category? There are a lot of us, and there are a lot more folks in college now that don't fit that standard category. So many other theories are developed to work with specific populations. So for example, if you look at Erikson's development theory of gay development, it is one specific population theory. There are many theories that are built around various other populations within the community, including adult learning theory for those that are over the age of your standard college student as we think of them. There are theories that are not mentioned here that we are using regularly on campus. Our Go Big committees are using Schlossberg and Baxter-Magolda, which are both theories that are based on belonging and developing yourself within a community. And those are theories that we're using every day as we work through our work in student affairs. Jamie and I, when we were putting together this presentation, we were thinking about the fact that there are so many different types of jobs that you can have in a student affairs world. And we wanted to make sure that as a program, we are servicing folks that want to go into many different fields within student affairs. And so this is just a brief sample list. And as I was saying to Jamie this morning after we put this together all night long, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot about the people that do student conduct work, or I forgot about So the list goes on, and we wanted you to see this list to know that there are broad applications of this work. And we also have a few org charts that we'll go through, just so you can see where student affairs fits. This is the organizational chart for Vice Chancellor LeGrand's Student Affairs Division here on campus. And, I want to take a moment to say thank you to Vice Chancellor LeGrand for really moving this process forward and getting this program started. He's done a lot of work. It's been a passion of his, and I'm sorry he's not able to be here today to see this launch. But you'll notice that reporting to the Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs reports directly to the Chancellor on this campus. That's common that the leader of Student Affairs will report to a president or chancellor, the leader of the organization. It shows the importance of student development within the organization. And then all of those other folks lead departments within Student Affairs. Many of those departments are the departments within we work, including residence life, student activities, so on and so forth. Many of you raised your hand and said you don't work in student affairs as the organization itself on this campus. So share with us some of the departments that you work in. We heard a couple earlier. Like I see some financial aid folks here. They're on this org chart. Who's not on this org chart? Yes. There are many, many academic advisors on this campus who work within all of the different fields. I see natural resources, I see letters and science, I see many, many departments represented here on their advising staff, which is fantastic. Let's go through the next one.
So one thing we wanted to do in showing org charts was also to show the variation of institution types that student affairs exists. And so you found UC Berkeley a state flagship Research 1 institution, Carnegie classification, which is used to kind of classify institutions as a Research 1 R1 selective. We also wanted to show a community college system. So here we have Diablo Valley College Organization, and you'll see that here we have the president. And we also have the student services, which you will find sometimes student affairs will either be called campus life, student services. It's just a variation on really the philosophy of that campus and or its philosophical approach to the role they play on campuses. So you will often find with a lot of community colleges that do ground themselves in more of a commuter population, that they are focusing more from a service base, seeing that their students are coming for a specific service and they're providing that. So you can see here that at Diablo they have a vice president for student services, and then within that portfolio you see there's a dean for counseling and enrollment, manager of relations with school outreach, which as you look on our org chart, the school outreach piece is not specifically within the Division of Student Affairs. They have Upward Bound, they have admissions, which we have, the registrar, the counseling office, and so you'll see a lot more service-based. If you look throughout here, and just like we mentioned earlier, student affairs work is done throughout the campus. It's not just done in the division of student affairs. So one big thing and one, I think, opportunity for this program is to how do we talk about what collaboration looks like across a campus that may have a variation of student affairs or student service work happening, as you can see here at Diablo. We also wanted to show, and this is a fairly big org chart because this is also a president, but we also wanted to show the org chart of a campus that may belong or may support a very specific community or a niche institution, as we sometimes say. So Alabama A&M Agricultural Mechanical University is a historically black college or university, which we use the term in higher ed HBCU, and these are schools that were founded at a time when black Americans or African Americans were not able to attend traditionally white or predominantly white institutions, with majority of them being east of Texas. So we don't have any HBCUs in California, partly because California did integrate in some ways a little bit earlier than other regions and other parts of the country. But we wanted to share that as well. So if you look at the org chart for Alabama A&M, you see they also have a vice president of student affairs, and then they have 2 AVCs, which are their assistant vice chancellors. As you see, we have a couple more AVCs here because we are a larger campus. Alabama A&M is about 12,000 students. So their division is really run directly by 2 assistant vice provosts or vice presidents that have various offices under them. So even though this org chart looks much more detailed and specific, the operation in student affairs is a lot smaller if you looked at what our org chart provided. So thinking about how campuses have to do the exact same work that we do with limited resources when we think about budgets and we think about technology and the competing needs for student admissions, these institutions are still looking to compete and also provide a well-rounded experience for their students as well. So again, just some thought as that we hope that this program will also provide you some thought and ground how you can take the skills that you have here and apply them to various institutional types across the country as well. So I'm going to pass it back over to Stacy, who's going to talk a little bit about expectations and introduce us instructors as well.
Thank you. What do you think when you see those great big org charts? Does it look like opportunities abound? Fantastic, thank you. We are, as we've said a couple of times, really excited to have this program launch. And one of the things that we're really excited about is that it's going to be a program that helps you launch your careers further. There will be strong expectations in our courses. The reading loads, these are master's level courses, and they need to be of the caliber and quality that they are transferable to a four-year institution so that people are able to make progress with their careers. So the reading loads will be extensive. There will be project work as well as writing work. And all of the courses are taught by practicing administrators who are also faculty. So you get a combination of experience and academic support in your courses. And so we are really looking forward to being able to see you in class and help you advance in these areas. There are 5 faculty members on the introductory program. Jamie Riley, who I've mentioned, you've met already, is the director of the Lead Center here on the Berkeley campus. My name is Stacy Holguin, and I am currently an analyst in student affairs, as well as on the faculty at the University of Pacific Bennard School of Education. We have 3 faculty members who weren't able to join us today because they're off doing their work in other places, countries, etc., including Dr. Steve Sutton, who is the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Residential and Student Service Programs here on campus, and Dr. Greg Dubrow, who is, oh my gosh, his name just completely flew out of my head. He is in the admissions department. I am so sorry. And Dr. Carol Takau, who was formerly here at UC Berkeley and now works at University of California, San Francisco. We are going to move over to talking about the certificate program itself, and Ramu will help us with that.
Thanks, Stacy, and thanks, Jamie, for giving us that broad overview. I think it's really helpful because it puts this program in context, both the courses we're offering and sort of the rationale for it. So have any of you taken a course with extension before? Okay, so a number of you. So you're sort of familiar with the formats, some of you. And I'll talk a little bit about that and sort of the expectations. Stacy's already set the stage a little bit. To give you a sense that these will be very rigorous courses. The students who take UC Extension courses are very motivated, very ambitious, and usually working full time. So it's a demanding thing, but everyone is able to meet those requirements. You have to take 4 courses to complete the certificate. And as Andrea said at the outset, you don't have to decide to do the whole certificate program right at the beginning. We always encourage our students to try out a course first, sort of think about how that fits into your life, personally and professionally, and then get a taste for what an extension course is like. So there are 3 required courses that we've listed up there. You can read the detailed descriptions on our website, but we think these 3 courses really give you an important foundation into this field. And we have 1 elective currently on multicultural practice, and we will be developing more electives depending on all of your interests and the availability and interest of the faculty who will teach in this program. The courses are all 3 units, as I've noted up there. So that means there are 45 hours of instruction. There will be lots of work to do outside of class. The prerequisites for signing up for the program itself, for the certificate, is a bachelor's degree, so we'll ask you to send us a transcript when you register for the program. But as I said, you can just register for a single course at any time, online or on the phone with us. The course schedule, extension courses tend to be in the evenings. We may in the future offer some on the weekends. None of them are online right now. They're all just based in the classroom. They'll be taught on this campus, and probably in Wheeler or Barrows or Donnell. Class times usually 6:30 to 9:30. There's a break in the middle there because that's a long stretch. It is tiring since you've worked and you'll be there, but some people may choose to take 2 courses in a semester. That is possible. We do plan to schedule at least 2 courses every semester so that someone who's very ambitious could actually finish this program, the 4 courses, within an academic year. We also, if possible, will run our courses in the summer. Extension runs courses all year round. We have that flexibility. So again, a lot of it will depend on the demand for the courses and people's interests, and so we'll gauge that as we go. And we're always available to answer questions you have specifically about any of those things. So the fees listed here, it's $795 for a course. You pay for 1 course at a time. There is no financial aid available, but as Andrea mentioned, there is going to be, these courses are going to be part of the tuition reimbursement program in what was formerly called CORWE. So I think that's a big boon and a real testament to the fact that this campus supports your professional development and your sort of academic future. In addition to paying the 4 course fees, there is a certificate registration fee, $150. Again, that's something you can do online, and that's the point at which we would ask for your college transcript so that you're sort of officially part of the program. There's also a 10% discount for UC Berkeley staff who are taking any extension course, and so these courses would also apply. So if one of your courses was not covered by the standard tuition reimbursement program, there is that discount option as well. The website is up here. Easily you could find that. Let me think here. I think that's it in terms of the details about our courses. As I said, the website has lots of information, so does a brochure about the details and sort of what you can expect in each course. And the reading list and all of that will be available too. I can't remember exactly, but I think the courses are available for registration already. If not, they'll be available for registration very soon. So now I'd like to introduce Pat Mitchell. She is the chair in leadership studies in the School of Education at USF, and she'll talk a little bit about their master's program and how that relates to what we just talked about.
Thank you. Good morning. So nice to see all these happy faces, and every time I see so many students, I get excited. I said, oh my, well, maybe we'll have some more students to come over to the University of San Francisco. So I bring you greetings from the university, and just so excited to have entered into this partnership with UC Berkeley. So we're expecting all of you that go through the certificate program to come over to USF to finish it up. So let me just tell you a little bit about what we're doing. Because you're finishing up your certificate program here, which would be 12 units, we will automatically accept all of those 12 units toward the 30 units that's required to get your master's from the University of San Francisco. So that means that you would take 18 units with us. Now, we will accept that, but you still have to go through the application process, and you still have to make good grades. So our admission GPA is a 2.7, so you have to have a 2.7. You have to have 2 letters of recommendation. You need a letter of intent. And basically what that is telling us what you plan to do with your degree and what kind of work you're basically in now. And you need an official transcript. We will automatically, if you meet those requirements, we will automatically accept you into our master's program. Once you get into the last leg of the program, there's a sheet that was on the back, and I hope everybody received that. If not, send me an email and I will send it to you. But you will be required to take research methods, which is getting you ready for your field project or your thesis at the very end of the program. We will require you to take the Introduction to Organization and Leadership course. We require you to take a course in race, diversity in higher education, and a campus environment and cultural class. There is no GRE or MAT requirement for admissions to the master's program. So don't think you're getting off because you're coming into the master's program. I'm going to try and recruit you into our doctoral program once you finish. And so once you're there with us, we're going to do everything we can to keep you. And at that point, you will have to take the GRE or the MAT. Let's see. The courses are on the weekends. We do not offer our master's courses during the week. So we have what we call teaching weekends, and they are every other weekend. So you could take a class Friday nights from 5:30 to 9:15. You could take a class Saturday mornings from 8 o'clock to 12:15. Or you could take a class Saturday afternoons from 1 o'clock to 5:15. So in essence, you could actually take 3 courses within one semester. We're on the semester system. You don't have to take 3. You can take 1, whatever your schedule allows you to take, but we offer that flexibility of 3 classes. So if it's really left up to you in terms of how fast you want to go through the certificate program here before you think about coming to USF, we do have open enrollment, so we have fall and also spring. So you could start in the fall, start in the spring. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to tell you. May 1st is our deadline for applications for September. So if you're able to get in your 12 units this year coming up, May 2016, you could make application and actually start in the fall. So that's when we're hoping to see some of your faces a year from now. But we will take you as you finish, and as you were saying, you'll be able to take the courses as you desire to do that. But any questions? Yes. Oh, you wanted to ask me that. Well, you know what? I really don't know the exact cost. We have one of our students, one of our doctoral students that works here at UC Berkeley. Emerald? Emerald, can you tell us what the master's, can you look it up real quick? Yeah, look it up real quick. You know what, when I come out, I pitch coming to USF. And I said, well, you know what, if they really want to come, they're going to find the money. They're going to find the money. We do have, and you know what, there is a financial aid packet that's in the back. You should have picked that up because we do have opportunities for scholarships once you get into the program. So lots of opportunities. Yes? $11.10 per credit hour. So that's $3,000 for a course. But guess what? It's the University of San Francisco with a wonderful reputation. So, and you know what else? Once you get your master's in organization and leadership, not only can you work in higher ed, student affairs, but you can work in other areas as well, and it does not necessarily have to be higher education if you choose not to stay in higher ed. So there's a lot of flexibility with the degree in organization and leadership. We have information meetings throughout the year, so if you go on the School of Ed website, that will list the dates for information meetings and also lots of other information about the school. And you can go on and you can see the faculty that you'll be working with and their bios, and just excited to see so many faces, and just hope that I'll see some of you this time next year to start the second half of your master's program. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Okay, so we are now open for questions, either about the program specifically or about any of the history and great information that Stacy and Jamie provided. So we have a mic, so speaking of that, so we can all hear.
Do the UC Extension courses have to be taken in a specific order, or can you pick and choose the order?
There's no prescribed order, so you can take whatever course you want, given your interests.
What's the expected class size?
I'm trying to remember what we ended up capping it at. I think 25 is sort of the maximum. We expect the typical class size in extension is around 15, so somewhere in that range. And if there's enough demand, then we would add additional sections of a course. One sec.
You may not know the answer to this, but when does the tuition reimbursement information and paperwork become available? When does that application become available?
I don't know yet. Andrea, do you have any idea?
I believe there'll be information before July 1.
Okay, so before July 1, we think, so imminent then. It won't be on our website, but it will be on the campus. Yeah, I'll try to get that information. We'll make sure we disseminate exactly where that is. It used to be called CoreWe, and then it was Leadership and Organization, and now it's under Leadership and Development. So try to find it, but if not, we'll certainly make that information widely available to everyone.
Sorry, I don't know if this will be answered later, but I'm new to this school, so what exactly is the tuition reimbursement program?
It's a program designed to support staff who want to take a class, specifically at Extension in this case. So it's been running for a number of years, and so I believe staff are eligible to take one class every semester. I don't know if there's a maximum. I'm sure there is. And so the cost of that class is completely covered by this funding. And there are certain courses that are approved for that program, so you'll want to peruse that list to see what's eligible, and then of course there's an application process.
I apologize, I came late, so if this was covered, but I'd be really excited to hear some of the course content from the faculty and administrators that'll be teaching that in the certificate program. If you guys have some thoughts about what you'll be teaching, that would be great to hear.
Sure, we can do the 2-minute sketch.
Do it faster than that. So specifically, I created and we worked with this together collaboratively, but I can talk more about the multicultural course. The course is really designed to do a lot more reflection and investigation of self around identity, so the social identities, and that means our gender identity, our sexual orientation, our race, our ethnicity, our socioeconomic status, our ability, and really look at how that impacts how we show up in spaces when we're interacting with other people, particularly with students who may bring those identities to campus and may be at varying levels of where they've fully immersed themselves with those identities. So the course really focuses on self-exploration. It focuses on power, privilege, and oppression. It focuses on systems and institutions of higher education and how that either creates environments that allow students to thrive, or campuses where students are dealing with incongruence with the environment. But the course will really be a mix of reading material around identity development and the experience of, but it's really focused on self-reflection. And the reason being is because if you look at any theory and any work behind identity development and equity and inclusion and social justice, it really starts with understanding what you bring to the table, so the lenses that which you look through the world through, and then how that, in situations of privilege and even oppression, how that impacts the experiences of others. So it's a course with a lot of dialogue. There is reading, but it's more a group project. There are some activities where you will actually go and participate outside of a cultural norm that you identify within something in the Bay Area. I taught this class in rural Virginia before, and it was extremely hard to help with those students to find out-of-culture experiences. But I think in the Bay Area, there's some great opportunity to really immerse oneself in cultural experiences that are very different than the way we've raised. But the idea of the class is just to come out of it looking at yourself and looking at the world a little bit differently around difference and similarities.
One of the core courses that you'll start with this fall is Student Development Theory, and that course really is what we call a survey course, where you're looking at the range of developmental theories, like you saw on the slide that we popped up earlier. It generally starts with some basic theories about student development, including Chickering, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which talks about what individuals need in order to feel safe enough and strong enough to then progress through their academics. During that course, you will do some writing work in investigating how those theories apply to different populations, and then also some project work getting out and talking with different folks about the theoretical base. A course that you can take following that is the course on the history of higher education, or I mean, not on the same night, but an additional course this fall, I think is a better way to say it, is the History of Higher Education course, and that course does a much more in-depth sweep of how higher education developed in the United States and the theoretical basis behind that development, and also into the current transitions that we're experiencing in higher education, including the in-class and out-of-class development of students and the online versus in-class discussions, which are prominent now in education, higher education.
So I will be teaching the course on student and academic affairs, and so that course is really looking at organizational theory and the complexities of how student affairs really, our work is so core to advancing the institutional and academic mission of institutions, and the intersections and complexities around the bureaucracies and the diversity of the different types of organizations and how that influences our work and the decisions that we make in our day-to-day work with students.
Thank you. Any more questions while you have us all assembled up here? Yes.
Will students who are part of the certificate program get enrollment priority in these classes, or will they be open to anyone?
They're open to everyone. So these are public courses that we publish in our catalog and, of course, on our website. So everyone is eligible. Anyone is eligible to take them. So we currently don't have plans to have any sort of enrollment priority, but in the past, when we've had certificate programs that are very popular, where there is kind of a bottleneck, then we do create some kind of path for priority enrollment, so that people who've kind of committed to the program can finish it in a timely fashion.
I know you mentioned that the classes will begin in fall 2015. Do you know specifically which dates it will start?
I don't off the top of my head know the exact dates the classes are starting. They'll be, I think, the first or second week in September, and they'll run for 15 weeks. Yeah, and there'll be 2 evenings. Oh.
They start, one of the classes will start before Labor Day, so it's the first week in September, and then the other one will start following Labor Day, because I think it meets on Monday evenings, so there was a holiday there.
So the website will have the exact dates, times, and room numbers, so that'll be your place. And when you sign up, of course, you'll get a confirmation with all that information as well, and if anything changes, we'll let you know.
Add as well that enrollment will open for the fall on July 6th.
Okay.
So you'll see the
another month.
classes on the website right now, but they'll actually be open for enrollment on the 6th.
Got it. Thank you. And that's Lindsay Lowe, who's our program coordinator at Extension, who's helping manage all the logistics of this on the Extension side. So thanks very much for joining us this morning. I hope the rest of Stay Day is rewarding for you. And I think there's a little evaluation for you to fill out that Lindsay will have. So if you have time to do that, that would be great. Otherwise, enjoy the day. Thank you.